We're going to kick off by talking about pitches and facilities. We touched on this in the first half of the show. We were talking about the non-league game and how you may have to play a particular way in non-league football. As Hayden says, most teams play a certain way and it's not developing. How much of that is then down to the pitches that you play on? Who wants to come in on this?
I'd say, yeah, it's 100%. For example, like I always say, like with the manager, Gavin, we'll go to the ground. You know, you prepare, shall I say, on a Thursday night, you know, things you want to do, players you want to play, you've got a team in your head, and you turn up at the ground and you end up picking 3-4 different teams in 20 minutes. So all your preparation's out the window because you're looking at the pitch and you're thinking, well, I can't play him because he can't do that on there. I can't play him because he can't do that on there, and we can't do that. So it is difficult, but at the same time, we know what we're in, and we have to be adaptable to it. You know, there's some places that are unadaptable, if such a word. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's difficult.
I think that's absolutely true. But I mean, the interesting is when you get a contrast between being able to play on a fantastic 3G stadium or the next week when it's the height of winter and you're playing on a pitch that barely the ball can hardly roll, and that's a hell of a contrast.
Difficult.
I think that some of the pitches in the league are a great leveller. There's no question of that. And sometimes you play the pitch rather than play the opponent. And the pitch is a more difficult opponent. There's no question about that in my mind. But I'll be honest with you, whilst I hear what Paul says, whilst I hear what the guys are saying, you know, Junior has played for me. I will never say that you have to play a different way, whatever the circumstances of the pitch. Because it's very important that the team maintains my beliefs, my philosophy, and I look upon it differently. I think that good players can play on any surface. Good players make good decisions with the ball, and you just have to trust their decisions with the ball. And when you're at a club like Merstham, for example, you simply do not have the finances to build a 25-man squad, to build a team that plays great football on a great pitch, and a team that can play a very physical side on a difficult pitch.
Hey, sorry, can I stop you there?
Yeah.
At times, don't you think you're setting your team up? At times, then, don't you think you're setting your team up? Don't want to use the word foul, but if you're going to certain grounds that we go to now, let's not discredit anybody, but let's say we're going to play at Grays, Aveley away, which we know is not conducive to good football.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you then not think to yourself, maybe I need to adapt a little bit to the situation?
I think the trouble is, Kaz, is that if I adapt my team to play the way that Grays play because of the pitch, Grays will win.
No, I'm not saying the way that Grays play. I'm saying a little bit left field of what you would do.
I'm not suggesting that when
I don't want to tell everyone a story at Worthing, so
when I'm not suggesting that when we play on difficult pitches, I'm telling the two centre halves to split. They're rolling the ball across the back. They're opening up the first phase of play and doing it as sharply as what you would on a decent pitch. What I'm suggesting is, on the more difficult pitches, you have to open up the first phase of play probably 20 yards higher up pitch.
Yeah.
In doing that, then that allows the players to make better decisions on the ball. But I don't buy into that you can't play on that pitch, you have to go long today. I'm not saying that I'm right, by the way. I'm saying that is my belief as the manager of the football club.
Let's bring Ant and Mark in, get a different opinion here. What do you think about pitches and the way they affect your game?
Well, I mean, I think if it was life or death, so to speak, and football is obviously, then you'd have to be flexible. But I do agree with Hayden. You can't be flexible to the point of changing how you want to be, how you want to play. You might just have to adapt what you set out to do normally. So more of an adaptation than a complete change of tactics. My beef, if you like, with the pitch and facilities are that there are certain clubs where they'll have a good sized wage bill, spending lots of money on players, yet the pitches are not maintained.
Yeah.
And again, just coming back to the point I made before, you kind of wish that was regulated better. Yeah. The referees go to the games each week. They can, and I think they do. I might be wrong, Bob. Whether they score pitches still, or whether they had a phase of doing it, but you know, they can score facilities, pitches, etc., and there can be certain benchmarks for improvements to be made and reviewed. The same as they ask you for when they want the 100 seating installed. It's no different, but it has more of a footballing benefit.
Yeah, the referees will be welcome to report back to the respective leagues if they think a pitch is not suitable for playing football on. You know, if it's dangerous, there's something there that they don't think is safe, and they wouldn't play the game in the first place. But yeah, you see again, it's the player's safety. We were talking about standing water or ruts in the pitch, if it's a rock hard molehills.
It's difficult though, because there's law, so to speak, FA regulation on the gradient on a pitch. So it's deemed unfair if the drop away is below or above excess. So, i.e., back in the day, I think Barnet, Underhill used to be like borderline, you know, illegal. Whitehawk, you know, has always been. They were trying to turn the pitch around at some point, so that's deemed as being literally not a level playing field. So you kind of think if the grass is knee height and it's in bad condition, it'd be the same theory, really, in terms of being a.
If you go right down to the grassroots football, and you've got Stoke Park in Guildford, where you have got, you can't see this on radio, but that's a pitch. Yeah, a game of two halves. Same over at Tolworth at Kingston's ground.
And does it affect the way you set your team up? But when do you look at pitches and think, do you know what? Yeah, I don't fancy playing like this today. We're going to have to change our game.
I think we start off with a strategy that we stick with, certainly in the summer months, or not that we have much of a summer, but obviously come the winter time, we do know that it's going to be a lot different, and we may slightly change personnel if we've got them available within the club. But no, I think most teams would always stick to their main sort of strategy of playing the game, and then if they have to adapt slightly in that one game because of the pitch or because of the opponents, they will. But on the whole, I think they do stick with that main thing. But just going back to the pitch side of things, you know, and I don't want to talk badly of referees, but they turn up to a pitch and there's a couple of little bits of water on it, and look back 15 years ago and the game would have played all day long. But you go to another pitch which has got some bad cracks in it and, you know, bumpy, uneven ground. For me, that's a lot more dangerous than having a little puddle that's about an inch deep. But, you know, that's another debate for another day.
We're going to move it on to, we're going to stick with the same topic, but we're going to move it to the money and funding in the game. And this was our debate of the day, seeing if more money should be put into the grassroots by the bigger clubs. It's so wealthy in the Premier League now, we hear about it all the time. As far as pitches are concerned, should there be more money put in? We're not talking just about pitches that obviously the young players play on and they develop on, but the training pitches where the youth level all the way up to the first team have to train and play all the time. Should more money be put back into that?
I mean, if I can speak on behalf of my club, we're based in Crawley, which is an extremely large new town. I don't know the exact stats on it, but one of the problems we face, again talking about training, is a lack of availability of quality 3G facility to train on. We've had a real challenge in trying to find enough 3G to get all of our club onto that, so we've got a good training facility that we can put together with good coaches and create a quality training environment. I would like to see personally more money being made available to develop those types of facilities, to make those more available, because I don't think there's enough of that at the present time.
And I've got a few stats here to tell you how much help the Surrey FA gets to do local clubs. Supposedly 260 million is being given over 4 years from August 2015 to the non-league, and the FA has already pledged to give another 50 million a year towards that. Is that money spent in the right areas then? If we're talking about pitches still, is that money going to the right areas? Because surely the whole of everything we've talked about so far, from youth football to coaching, the pitches has got to be the first thing that's got right.
Yeah, I think you've got to look beyond just the obvious stuff. I think that the county associations are obviously governed, etc., by the national body, but what the county associations also need is local authority help as well, because local authorities can free up any amount of land for public interest use if they wish to, and some local authorities do, and some don't. You know, as an example, I mean, at Epsom and Youghal, I think they're the UK's longest ground share now. I don't quote me, nearly 30 years, roughly, maybe late 20s, which is incredible for a senior sort of town that they used to be, not to recognise, can we do something for local football and all that goes. So I think it's one thing having the funding, and obviously, you know, more the better, but also local authority input as well is important.
Yeah.
And also the support of sponsors into clubs as well, I think is increasingly important.
Yeah.
That 260 million is spread across all the football associations. Surrey FA itself this year has invested more than 741,000 in facilities.
I think Mark and Junior put a lot of that in fines, to be honest, with their disciplinary record, though, Bob. We can't really count that.
So before I had my counselling.
According to the figures that we've got, 12 million, as Bob rightly said, the 260 million is across all of the county FAs. 12 million is going to fund facilities and pitches. We've got 4 million for coaching and mentoring. 4 million goes to women's football. Is it something in general that you're happy with when you hear figures that are bandied around like this, when you see the local FAs dividing the money up, Sport England? Is it something that you're happy with, or is it something you think, you know what, if we want to make a change here, if we really want to develop, the money needs to be split differently?
I mean, one key thing that, Bob, you might reiterate this as well, yeah, is you need a security of tenure for much funding, for quite a significant amount of the funding available. So, and rightfully so to a degree. So, it used to be the case that Bob can clarify that without a significant security of tenure, 10, 15 years on the site you are, you'll struggle to get money. And of course, local authorities won't just sign up to giving you somewhere for 10 years, even if you're hiring their park, because they may want to put a set of flats on it one day. So there are, and so that actually affects the most grassroots of levels. That's the irony. That is, they're the people that need it as well. The ones that don't have the facilities.
The example for that, say, is Hambledon Football Club, which is a team in the Surrey Intermediate League, and they give them working lines, and they bought their own pitch, which was a cabbage patch, literally, which we played on, refereed on, and they bought that pitch from the farmer, and then Sport England Football Foundation contributed a lot to building the facilities that people could go there, get changed, have a shower, and play football. And that's because they're going to stay there, and you've got a club developed over the next 10, 20, 30 years.
No, I mean, there's loads of success stories, 100%, but it favours the more structured clubs, maybe that's the right way of wording it, behind the scenes than it does the more grassroots club in my book. Although I've seen loads of grassroots clubs benefit big time. But we personally, I can talk for this at first hand, because we had to build our own ground, because we couldn't get any funding. And we've never had a penny funding, and we had to build our own ground because we were using council pitches, and there is no security of tenure in order to plug into any kind of funding of any significance. So we had to find our own site and develop it from scratch. So if I think about other teams, now I know also of many teams that have folded. I could reel off 5 in my local area when they've got to certain levels, because their funding's not available for them to tap into based on the rules, all of which are completely governed by the FA and, again, local authorities that have a big say in things. The local authority could give security of tenure for 10, 15 years on a field that they know full well has still been there in 10, 15 years, but somebody says no, because actually that's earmarked as potential just in case we want a set of flats, so we just can't give them that security. But it does affect clubs. Clubs do fold as a result of it. First hand, I know of them.